Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. My name is Joseph Alexander. I have been serving here at Capital Christian Fellowship for almost 5 years now as the children and youth pastor. And again, I'm going to share what I got to find in my ministry interview about the church's mission and how the church is set out to accomplish God's mission. Capital Christian Fellowship is located in Lanham, Maryland, in PG County, Maryland. And Lanham, Maryland is just about 10 minutes, depending on the traffic, 10 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. All right. So the person I got to interview was my lead pastor, Bishop Glenn Kaufman. Obviously, I'm in a lot of meetings with Bishop, so I get to hear about the mission and vision of the church. But having to interview him for the seminary class was a very different kind of experience. So what about Bishop Glenn Kaufman? Well, we call him Bishop because he helps lead some mission organizations, and he also is the overseer of churches within the Washington-Baltimore district. CCF is within the Washington-Baltimore district of LMC, or Lancaster Mennonite Conference. So our friends from Lancaster, we have a sort of a bond there, right? So Bishop has been serving at CCF as a pastor, as a lead pastor for about 13 years. And that's about the same amount of time that he's served as a missionary in Hong Kong. He is a loving father and a devoted husband. And now, over the last 2 years, he has become a grandfather. So it was great just getting to have another meeting with my lead pastor for this project. So first question I asked is, what should CCF be known for? Like what's the first thing that comes to mind when people think about CCF? Well, something my pastor said is that CCF should be a church of the nations and for the nations. And being right where we are in PG County, I believe that our church demographic is truly a reflection of the area that we live in. If you go into our sanctuary, around our sanctuary, you will find flags that represent every partner that we have here. We don't call people members, we call them partners. And so we are a church of the nations for the nations right here, right outside of DC. We are a diverse worshiping community. People from all different kinds of traditions and backgrounds and countries all come together here to worship the same God. And we believe that we are kingdom ambassadors, meaning that we are not just a church that meets on Sunday, but we are doing God's work all week long. So that is how my pastor wants people to view CCF and how he wants CCF to be known. Next, what does CCF offer? Well, CCF, we do find pride in serving our community and striving to serve our community well. This is a quote from my pastor. On the bottom it reads, "If CCF disappeared, would the neighbors miss it?" Right? So meaning, are we having an impact in the neighborhood that we are in? If we closed our doors, would people miss what CCF did for the community? And we do serve the community through our food pantry. We provide a safe space for children and for youth. We have our youth nights every Friday night for high school students, and on Sundays we have children's church for elementary age kids. And we also believe we offer a different church demographic because we are so diverse. We believe that everyone in a way can find a home and a place here at CCF. Now, where can CCF improve? Something that my pastor said is, why is our Sunday gathering smaller than what it looks like? And what he means by that is, if we see, last summer we were serving about 600 people weekly in our food pantry on Wednesdays. And we see so many youth here on Fridays. But on Sunday mornings, we see the pews or our chairs sort of empty. And we believe that is probably due to our lack of evangelism as a church body. Right? So I feel like all of us could do a better job of spreading the gospel to all those around us and to making disciples of all those around us, and then inviting someone to be a part of our body. I think that is an area that, or at least Bishop Glenn believes that that is an area that we can improve on as a church, and I would agree. I believe that we as a church need to improve on reaching outside of our walls. If that's one of our core values, then we should strive better in doing those things. Now, how do we get our partners, we don't have members, we have partners, to live in a way that realizes our values? If we had the answers to that, we wouldn't have any problems, my pastor says, right? So if we found out the formula on how to get people to see the importance of worshiping and growing and reaching, then I don't think we would have any issues as a church. And I think we're really trying to figure that out. Bishop Glenn was really honest about sharing that. Hey, yeah, we're trying to figure out how to move people to go make disciples, how to move people to go evangelize, how to move people to see that it is everyone's responsibility to build the kingdom of God. Now, how does our church measure up to the picture of the missional church we see in John 3? Now, again, an area that we need to constantly work on here at CCF. We talked about our Alpha program. Many of you may be familiar with Alpha. Alpha is a program geared toward people who may be questioning the faith, and it's a program where we invite people in to ask those kinds of faith-based questions. And the two sections that we did, unfortunately, we had more people who were already involved at CCF serving than we had new people. And again, that should be encouraging us and pushing us to really branch out and encourage others to make disciples, and as leaders make more disciples ourselves and model that to our lay members. Next. Again, and I asked Bishop Glenn, how do we measure the growth of CCF from year to year? And Bishop Glenn made a kind of a interesting remark. He said, do we measure growth by just butts and bucks? Like, do we measure our growth as a church just by how many people are here on Sunday, or by how much people are giving? And Bishop Glenn says that he measures growth by how well our ministry teams are doing. So now, what do I mean by ministry teams? Well, I'm referring to our care and counseling ministry, right? There are people that volunteer in that to call and check up on people, to get them connected to all the counseling and the services that they may be in therapy that they may be in need of. We do measure our growth in baptisms. How many baptisms have we had from year to year? How many people have made that public decision to follow Jesus and be obedient in baptism? And how many people are involved not only in our Sunday morning gathering, but in our discipleship class involvement, right? So we offer different classes that could be Bible study, emotionally healthy spirituality, spiritual disciplines, spiritual gifts, courses. We measure our success by how many people are being involved in these. We would call them cohorts from year to year. Now, this is a part of the interview where I shifted and started asking Bishop Glenn some of these personal questions. And so I asked him, is there a time where you fell short in ministry, or is there an area that you feel like you fall short in? And he was honest and said that he always has these great ideas, and he sees more possibility than the energy to follow through, right? So we have this idea, we have this goal that we're trying to attain, and we say, let's do it. He says that he doesn't always have the energy to follow through with everything that we set out to do. And he also talks about how not seeing our congregation all the way through to breakthrough. People relying on the Lord, seeking the Lord, and wanting to truly grow in the Lord. We don't always get to see people all the way through to that. Next question I asked was, how does he manage all of his hats? Now, he wears a lot of hats, but that's not the question that I am asking, or I was asking him. He says that ideally, in his mind, everything all works out, and he covers all the bases. Again, being a bishop, being a husband, being in charge of an International Mission of Soul Association, lead pastor, and a bishop. Those are a lot of hats. And he says he does that most by meeting the most urgent deadlines, and sometimes trying to meet the closest deadline. Like, what has to happen tomorrow? What has to happen this week? And that's sort of how he navigates all of his responsibilities as someone who wears a lot of hats. And then I asked him, what he does for fun. And this is actually a picture of us at his house on the Eastern Shore. And he sees his work on this house as a sort of Sabbath rest for him, as someone who sits behind a desk sometimes and is involved in a lot of meetings. Bishop believes that the work that he puts to his hands is actually outside of his normal work, so he sees it as resting. So when he's out at his house in Rock Hall, he's eagle watching, he's gardening, he's doing things to upkeep the house. So getting his hands dirty is what Bishop Glenn does for fun. Again, he's also a avid Orioles and Baltimore Ravens fan, and being fans of those teams have kept him very humble. But I don't have much room to talk. Unfortunately, I'm a Commanders fan, and I know I'm probably talking to some Eagle fans right now. Okay. All right. So then I asked him, who holds you accountable? So Bishop Glenn says that his wife June holds him accountable, and also Pastor Kia, who is our executive pastor here, also holds him accountable. Our executive board, or what we would also refer to as our elder board, is who holds Bishop accountable to his responsibilities to the church. And he is also accountable to a bishop, Bishop Motley, who is one of the few African-American bishops within our conference. I've got to meet on for various occasions. Great man of God. He is in his work as a bishop and as a leader, he is accountable to Bishop Motley. This is the quick view of our worship center. Bishop always takes pride in all the nations that we have representing here, and each flag represents each nation. And on the back wall here actually represents where we have connections and where we support missionaries around the world. So CCF is a church that is committed to both local mission and to global mission. A phrase that Bishop Glenn Kaufman uses often is we are on mission with Jesus. So we are living not just for ourselves, we are living led by the Holy Spirit and following Christ's example and expanding his kingdom through both our words and our deeds.